Just discovered a hidden gem. My daughter-in-law's incredible call, 20 guests arriving in 2 hours. Sarah was folding laundry when her phone rang. It was Maria, her daughter-in-law, and the excitement in her voice caught Sarah off guard. You won't believe what I found. A perfect venue for the reunion. But their essay catch 20 guests will be there in just 2 hours. Suddenly, the gentle hum of her Saturday afternoon vanished, replaced by a whirlwind of anxiety. Her heart raced while her mind spiraled into chaos. She had envisioned the reunion differently. Casual, easygoing, with laughter echoing through the backyard. Now it felt like a tidal wave of expectations was crashing down around her. Memories of vibrant family picnics and card games overshadowed by the anxiety of unspoken issues bubbled to the surface. The struggles, the misunderstandings, all lurking in the shadows of her family's gatherings, seemed to threaten the joy they once shared. Yet, Sarah couldn't let her family down. Thoughts raced as she glanced around her home, the dishes piled high, toys scattered across the living room. Grabbing her jacket, she pushed open the door to her front porch, where the sun streamed down, lighting her path. Neighbor helping neighbor, she remembered, breathing deeply. With a newfound determination, she set out to rally her beloved neighbors. As she hustled down the street, knocking on doors, her friends rallied to lend a hand. Mary brought over her famous potato salad recipe, while James dug up some festive decorations from his attic. The excitement was palpable, but as they worked side by side, tension simmered just beneath the surface. Sarah could sense the awkwardness, the familiar undercurrents of judgments that hung low in the air. It weighed on her. Why does your family always make us feel less than? Maria's voice echoed in her mind, mixed with Dave's frustration from recent conversations about financial struggles. In the heat of the preparations, the clutter became a backdrop to old grievances, the laughter fading as mistrust replaced joy. Suddenly, as the clock ticked down and vulnerability took hold, Sarah and Maria found themselves face to face. I'm just trying to hold this family together, Maria. Sarah's voice cracked, years of buried feelings bubbling to the surface. Maria's eyes filled with tears, her hurt spilling over. And I'm tired of feeling like we're judged. Before the air could grow heavy with hurt, Maria dashed away, only to return moments later, holding a beautiful quilt, a family heirloom. Each stitch told stories of their past. In that simple gesture something shifted. The quilt, worn and colorful, became a symbol of resilience. It reminded them of love, of togetherness, of their shared history. Bit by bit, the tension began to dissolve. They exchanged glances, silently acknowledging that love outweighed their differences. Just as the doorbell rang, signaling the arrival of guests, Sarah glanced at Maria. They shared an understanding that maybe, just maybe, they could bridge the gap, heal the wounds, and create new memories together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With only a few moments left, Sarah squinted at the door as it swung open. Joyful chaos surged into her home as guests filled the space. Excitement and nervousness intertwined in her chest. Would the spirit of unity rise from the remnants of their past? As laughter spilled into the air, Sarah found herself teetering on the edge of hope and an uncertain future, yearning for a family that could finally embrace each other wholeheartedly. The door swung wide and the first wave of family entered, carrying with them a whirlwind of energy. Children dashed past Sarah, giggling as they raced towards the backyard, while adults exchanged warm hugs that felt both familiar and tentative. It was exhilarating and daunting all at once. Sarah took a deep breath, reminding herself to embrace this moment. She glanced at Maria, who had put on a brave face, her eyes sparkling with a mix of joy and apprehension. They were in this together now, ready to transform their fears into something beautiful. Hey everyone! Grab a plate and dig in. Maria's cheerful voice rang out, cutting through the anxious air. As if on cue, the tantalizing aroma of the food wafted through the living room. Potato salad, grilled chicken, and a colorful assortment of sides came together, ready to nourish both body and spirit. Yet, as the chatter grew louder, so did Sarah's internal monologue. She could already feel the weight of unspoken issues lingering in the corners of the room. Conversations fluttered but didn't land, circling around the topics of the past, rather than engaging in the present. Sarah noticed her brother Dave fidgeting near the snack table, casting glances in Maria's direction. Thoughts of their recent disagreements loomed like storm clouds, threatening to overshadow the festive atmosphere as the evening unfolded. Laughter intertwined with the apprehension that still lingered in their hearts. Maria stood by Sarah's side, serving drinks and keeping her spirits up as best as she could. Just then, a small group congregated nearby, old friends chiding one another over shared experiences and mistakes. For a moment Sarah felt hopeful. Then out of nowhere the conversation shifted. "Can you believe Sarah still uses that old car?" One of the guests joked, laughter rippling through the group. It was light-hearted at first, but the underlying jab pierced Sarah more than anyone realized. She felt heat rise to her cheeks, the old wounds of insecurities surfacing. Maria caught the change in Sarah's demeanor. With a gentle nudge she stepped closer. "You know that car has its charm, right?" she said aloud, attempting to transform the comment into something uplifting. Sarah smiled weakly, the warmth of Maria's support reminding her that vulnerability could sometimes be shared. Dinner began, and the buffet proudly displayed the fruits of their collective efforts. Sarah could see the kids engaged in playful banter, while the adults settled into small pockets of conversation. But amid the chatter, Sarah could feel the tension still pulsing under the surface. "Do you remember the summer we all fell into the pool?" One of the cousins reminisced, prompting laughter. The joy felt infectious, yet the specter of unresolved issues still hovered. Maria stood to the side, watching intently as Sarah interacted with her family. A microcosm of togetherness slowly began to form, hearts softening slightly with every shared memory. Just as Sarah felt the warmth of the moment starting to settle, her phone vibrated in her pocket. She stepped away to check it and found an unexpected message from Maria's sister, Lydia, who had been silent during previous gatherings. "I'm sorry for the tension. I want to come next time." A lump formed in Sarah's throat. What did that mean for the future? Was healing really possible? Or was this reunion just a brief interlude before old wounds reopened? As she looked back toward the lively room, filled with laughter and remnants of hope, everything hung in the balance. Could they move beyond their history and embrace a future together? Sarah returned to her family, heart thudding anxiously. Was she ready to confront these shadows head-on? As she stepped back into the vibrant chaos, one question loomed large in her mind. What would it take for their family to truly unite? Sarah re-entered the living room, where the laughter seemed to rise and fall like waves. Children were racing around, their little feet barely making a sound on the hardwood floor. She spotted her cousin Janie, an unstoppable ball of energy, leading a gaggle of kids outside. Sarah couldn't help but smile as she watched them burst through the sliding door, shrieks of joy mingling with the warmer evening air. "Let us play tag," she heard Janie shout, and the backyard erupted in excitement. But even amidst the cheerful chaos, her heart raced with a mixture of anticipation and fear. The message from Lydia still lingered in her mind, shifting her thoughts like sand in a storm. Uncertainty hovered like a cloud, threatening to overshadow this otherwise festive night. "Sarah," Maria called, pulling Sarah back into the moment. Her friend was standing near the kitchen, arms laden with trays of food. "Can you give me a hand?" "Of course." Sarah rushed over, grateful for the simple task that might help center her thoughts. Together they arranged plates of grilled chicken and salad, their movements synchronized like a well-rehearsed dance. "Do you think everyone's enjoying themselves?" Maria asked, glancing out at the gathering. "Looks like it," Sarah replied, trying to focus on the laughter rather than the dread that crept in. I hope we can have real conversations. I don't want to keep dancing around issues." Maria nodded, her expression turning serious. "Sometimes we need to shake things up a bit. Maybe tonight is the night." Her eyes lit up with a spark of determination, and Sarah found herself inspired. This gathering wasn't just a superficial reunion. It could be the beginning of something transformative. As the food began to disappear and the atmosphere shifted towards desserts, Sarah suddenly sensed a presence behind her. She turned and found Dave standing there, an uncertain expression on his face. "Hey," he said, rubbing the back of his neck, the nervous habit she remembered from childhood. "Hey," she replied, the shortness of her response slipping her mind. She quickly mustered courage. "I'm glad you came." He shrugged, a slight smile flickering. "Wouldn't he miss it? I know it's been a while since we hung out. I didn't mean to bring any bad vibes." "Neither did I," Sarah quickly returned, her heart racing as she felt the weight of their unspoken misunderstandings hanging between them. Just then, another eruption of laughter broke through, cutting the tension. Their cousin Nick stumbled onto the patio, tripping over his own feet. The momentum of the evening shifted, and soon everyone was regrouping to share in the uproarious moment. Draped in the heady mix of familial love and old grudges, the atmosphere started to shift. The barriers felt a little less rigid. Around them, laughter echoed, momentary rifts forgotten. But then Lydia's message re-emerged, a silent ghost in the room. What if she brought even more unresolved issues into the mix? Just the thought made her heart race as Sarah glanced around the room. Her eyes fell on Dave, who was now animatedly talking to Maria. She felt a twinge of hope. Maybe there was a chance after all. "Sarah!" A voice boomed, breaking her reverie. Aunt Carol stood at the door, her face flushed with excitement. "You won't believe this, 20 more guests are on the way in 2 hours." Sarah's stomach dropped. Wasn't this just what they needed? More people pushing them to confront the truths they had avoided for so long? As the reality of the gathering set in, questions swirled in her mind. Would this night lead to healing or heighten the tension? What would happen when all of them were forced into the same spotlight, reminding them of their fractured past? As the door swung open once again, inviting a swell of new faces, Sarah took a deep breath. Facing this crowd was one thing. Facing her family might be a different challenge altogether. With a heart full of trepidation and hope, she stepped into the lively crowd. What would these new arrivals bring to the already delicate dynamics of the night? The door swung wide and a cacophony of laughter and voices poured in, washing over Sarah like a tidal wave. With every new face that entered the room, the atmosphere shifted. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Her heart raced as she took in the scene. A blend of familiar and unfamiliar faces, the chaos of kids darting about, and adults catching up after what felt like an eternity. Aunt Carol was the first to welcome the newcomers, her booming voice cutting through the ambient noise. She handed off drinks and offered hearty hugs, displaying the familial warmth that always characterized their gatherings. Yet, beneath it all simmered the tension Sarah feared. More people meant more chances for hidden secrets to bubble to the surface. "Come on everyone, dessert is ready," Maria shouted over the chatter, trying to bring focus to the sweets table piled high with pies and cakes. Sarah followed her friend, moving forward into the sea of guests, her stomach knotting tighter with every step that as she reached the dessert table, she caught sight of Janie, now distracted, flirting with one of the new arrivals, a childhood friend of Dave's. Sarah smiled at the innocence of it as Janie's laughter intermingled with the spontaneous shouts of her cousins. It reminded her of a time filled with uncomplicated joy, before the weight of adult worries pressed down on her. "Hey Sarah!" Dave's voice broke through her thoughts, grounding her. He joined her by the dessert table holding 2 plates piled high, one meant for her. "I figured you could use this," he said with a gentle smile, the warmth of his gesture easing her anxiety just a bit. "Thanks," she replied, taking the plate and admiring the colorful spread of desserts. But as the moment settled into a comfortable silence, her mind wandered back to Lydia's message. What truth was lurking beneath the surface, waiting for an opportunity to rise? "Let us eat," Maria called out, playfully shoving people toward the dining area where chairs had been pulled together, creating a patchwork of community. It was the perfect excuse to gather, but for Sarah, it carried a tinge of dread as the group settled into their seats. Aunt Carol raised her glass. "To family," she announced, her voice proud. Glasses clinked in agreement, but Sarah felt an unease grow. "And to the many more present this evening. Let us make some memories." Each bite tasted bittersweet, the food delicious but overshadowed by unspoken words. Conversations danced around topics of travel and life updates, but hints of discomfort flickered in the air. Sarah darted glances at Dave, noting how he laughed with others but struggled to meet her gaze. The lingering tension made her nervous. "Sarah!" Nick shouted from across the table, breaking her reverie yet again. "What's the scoop? I haven't heard any juicy gossip in forever." Laughter erupted while everyone's eyes turned towards her. She felt exposed, the spotlight pressing down as her thoughts raced. Would she divulge her fears? Share that Lydia hinted at old wounds needing attention? Or maintain the light-hearted charm of the evening, despite her heart telling her it was impossible? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted once more. The sound of another door opening echoed through the house, followed by a group of near strangers bursting in, a family Sarah didn't recognize but who seemed excited to be there. Surprise! They shouted together, and Sarah felt her heart drop even further. More surprises, more potential chaos. Her heart sank. What more could this night hold? And would it lead them to confront the truths lurking in the shadows, or further deepen the divides? As all eyes turned toward the new arrivals, Sarah felt a spark of determination rise. Maybe, she whispered to herself, this could be the moment we break free. She could feel the energy shift again, and her spirit ignited. Either way, this night was going to change them all. But as she met Dave's gaze across the table, she wondered, would they find the courage to face their pasts, or would they let another opportunity slip through their fingers? The room erupted into a mix of excitement and confusion as the newcomers found their way to the dining area. Sarah's heart raced again, this time from a mix of dread and curiosity. Who were these people? The strangers flooded the once cozy space, filling it with chatter. She couldn't help but feel the tension twist tighter in her chest. Is that really happening? She whispered to Dave, casting her eyes towards the throng of unexpected guests. 20 more people? Dave glanced around, a hint of worry flashing across his face. I guess so. Could be interesting. With the sudden influx, Aunt Carol was already pouring drinks and greeting them with open arms. The line between familiar and unfamiliar blurred as the newcomers embraced the chaotic spirit of the gathering. Sarah chuckled nervously at Aunt Carol's relentless enthusiasm, wondering how anyone could maintain such energy. The clinking of glasses mixed with laughter created a strange rhythm that filled the air. But as Sarah surveyed the scene, her eyes landed on a woman in the crowd, an older lady with silver hair and an air of grace that stood out among the chaos. Sarah felt a tug inside her, something she couldn't quite identify. Hey, look over there, Janie chimed in, pointing towards a group of kids already playing in the corner. They're definitely having the time of their lives. How do they do it? Sarah mused, shaking her head, trying to distract herself from the overwhelming buzz. I remember when we used to play like that. No worries, just fun. Dave's smile faded a bit. Yeah, those were good times. The mention too closely echoed the weight. Sarah felt the memories of simpler days held heavy against the uncertainties of adulthood she faced now. As she glanced back to the new arrivals, the silver-haired woman caught her gaze. Ah, there you are, Sarah. The woman called out unexpectedly, moving toward her with purpose. I'm Linda. It's so wonderful to finally meet you. Sarah's heart skipped. You know me? Of course, dear. Your mother spoke about you often. I'm a family friend. Such a bright light in our lives. A warmth spread through Sarah, but it was quickly clouded by thoughts of her mother's secrets, the ones Lydia had hinted at. If this woman knew her mother well, she might also know things Sarah wasn't prepared to hear. What did she say? Sarah's voice trembled slightly, a part of her desperate for connection, another part terrified of what memories could emerge. Linda's expression softened. All good things. How you brought everyone together, your creativity. She loved you fiercely. Thanks, Sarah whispered, feeling the weight of those words. Across the room, she noticed Dave engaged in a deep conversation with another woman who seemed to relish his attention. The ache in her heart intensified. Was he hiding from the truths of their own lives just like she feared? Was this a distraction he needed or one she should worry about? Hey, are you all right? Janie's voice broke through her thoughts again. You look a bit pale. Did someone serve you goat cheese again? Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. No, it's just a lot going on. Janie leaned in, a conspiratorial glint in her eye. You know we can handle a little chaos, right? Just breathe. But before Sarah could answer, Aunt Carol raised her voice from across the room. All right, let us gather everyone for a group photo. Come on. We need to capture this moment. As the momentum built for the next act of the evening, Sarah stood amidst the chaos, feeling caught in the whirlwind of emotions. Her heart pounded with the memory of old secrets and new possibilities. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that, she murmured, clenching her fists. Janie's hand on her shoulder felt grounding. Just be yourself. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. As everyone began to shuffle into position, Sarah took a deep breath, her mind whirling with questions. Could this night hold the answers she sought? Or would it only uncover more turmoil? And just as that bubble of hope began to expand, another door creaked open behind them, ushering in yet another set of happenings about to unfold. What lay ahead could either pull them together or push them apart forever. The atmosphere shifted immediately as the new guests stepped into the room. Sarah's heart jumped into her throat as she turned to see who had entered. A middle-aged man, his eyes bright and full of mischief, led the pack. He was flanked by a younger couple, their arms linked tightly like a lifebuoy in a storm. Surprise! He called out, laughter and excitement spilling from his lips. A wave of whispers swept through the crowd. Aunt Carol rushed to greet them, her arms open wide. Welcome! Welcome! Anyone for a drink? Sarah felt the buzz of the room amplify, her mind racing to process the new arrivals. A quick glance at Janie revealed her wide-eyed enthusiasm, but the intrigue in Sarah's chest twisted into something sharper. Who are they? Sarah managed to choke out, her voice barely above a whisper. Janie shrugged, excitement dancing in her eyes. Looks like family, but I have no idea who they are. This evening just got a whole lot more interesting. The younger couple approached, their smiles bright and genuine, breaking loose the ice of suspicion. Hi there. I'm Cromwell and this is my wife Nia. We heard the party was buzzing and couldn't resist crashing it. Nia chuckled, her hair a cascade of curls, capturing the light like spun gold. Aunt Carol told us so much about this place we couldn't miss it. Everyone's raving about the food. Yeah, Sarah said, forcing a smile. It's quite the gathering. She tried to keep her voice steady, her eyes darting back to where Dave stood still deep in conversation with the woman whose name she still didn't know. There's still the buffet open if you're hungry. Aunt Carol chimed in, emerging with a plate loaded with food, clearly oblivious to the fact that Sarah was slowly slipping down an emotional slope. But the moment Cromwell leaned in closer, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial tone, the world around them shrank just a little. You know, they say when love is in the air, it carries surprises along with it. My sister always brought people together for a reason. Right, Sarah replied, the fog thickening with uncertainty. You know, maybe I should. Before she could finish her thought, Linda reappeared unexpectedly, her soft gaze hefted with kindness. Everything all right, dear? You seem a bit overwhelmed. It was as if she had sensed the commotion simmering beneath the surface. Sarah felt a little warmth wrap around her emotions. I'm just processing all of this. Fair enough. A gathering like this can stir up more than just memories, Linda said softly. Your mother believed in family and connections. It's easy to forget just how many layers of love we have to unearth. Sarah smiled weakly, the words resonating deep inside her. Maybe this night held the answers she needed if only she could find the courage. But before she could explore that thought further, Cromwell grabbed a drink and waved everyone closer. Let us toast to surprises. The room buzzed with agreement as glasses raised high, a toast that echoed in spirited harmony. Sarah held her glass high too, but her heart began to sink as she felt a sense of contradiction forming, the excitement mixed with an uneasy fear of what might emerge with these unexpected family ties. As the group laughed, she caught a glimpse of Dave once more, this time with a flicker of concern etched across his features. Was he feeling it too? Was chaos revealing truths instead of just more confusion? Just as she was about to reach out to him, another knock sounded on the door, this time more insistent. The joyous mood shifted, heavy curiosity rippling through the guests like a current. What now? Sarah whispered. Janie's eyes widened. Another wave of surprises? You think it's family too? The tension in the room built, a silent wonder swelling as all heads turned toward the door. What had come to disrupt their fragile gathering? And what secrets would this knock bring? The knock echoed through the room, sharper this time, cutting through the laughter and toasts like a knife. All eyes focused on the door, the previous excitement morphing into an electric tension. Sarah felt a shiver dance down her spine as she glanced from Janie's wide eyes to Dave's worried expression, which was now fully turned toward her, searching for answers neither of them seemed to hold. Who could it be? Nia whispered, leaning in closer to Cromwell, a flicker of intrigue passing between them. Maybe the other half of the family? Cromwell chuckled nervously, but his voice betrayed a hint of uncertainty. Carol went to the door, her warmth and energy dimming for just a moment. Tension knotted in Sarah's stomach. She could almost taste the mix of fear and excitement in the air. It was intoxicating and horrifying all at once, like waiting for the other shoe to drop as the door swung open. A blast of cool air rushed in, causing an involuntary shiver to travel through Sarah's body. A woman stood there, framed by the dim light inside the house. She was of similar age to Dave, with long dark hair cascading around her shoulders, her face shadowed but somehow familiar. "Julia?" Dave gasped, his expression shifting from worry to surprise. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The name ignited a spark of memories lodged deep within her mind, from family gatherings long past. She had seen this woman before, though she didn't quite know how or where. In an instant the room was filled with chatter. Aunt Carol invited Julia inside, her eyes sparkling with recognition. "Oh my goodness! Welcome! It's so great to see you." "Sorry to just drop in like this," Julia said, stepping into the room with a hesitant smile. I hope we're not interrupting anything." "Oh, not at all. The more the merrier." Aunt Carol ushered her further inside, but Sarah could feel her heart racing, uncertainty crawling back into her thoughts. Connections were being made, links that had been dormant, but now stirred, bubbling to the surface. "Is it just you?" Nia asked, glancing past Julia's shoulder as if anticipating more arrivals. No, Julia shook her head. Laughter mingled with a hint of apprehension. "I brought my brother too. He'll be here shortly." The traffic was killer. A wave of chatter erupted again just as Sarah's thoughts whirled through the possibilities. Her brother. She thought anxiously. What does that mean? Before she had a moment to digest it all, the room was consumed by a warm laughter as Julia's brother entered, casting a wide grin that briefly illuminated his face before his gaze fell on Sarah. "Hey there. I'm Mike," he said, his energy filling the room with a friendly aura. "Nice to meet everyone." Caught off guard, Sarah's mind raced. Would these new connections bring clarity or add to the chaos swirling around her? Dave shot a concerned glance in her direction as the smiles danced around them, and a pit formed in her stomach. Julia stepped closer, her intentions unreadable. "Sarah, right?" she asked softly. There was something comforting in her voice, yet a depth of uncertainty hung in the air. For a moment, Sarah could only nod. The question simmered on her lips, ready to spill out in a rush of urgency. "What brings you here tonight? What do you know about all of this?" Suddenly, all she wanted was to untangle the knots of family history that seemed to be pulling her deeper into unfamiliar territory. Just then, another knock echoed more insistently this time, rattling the doorframe and causing the room to fall silent again. The energy in the room shifted once more, uncertainty thick like fog. Who on earth could it be now? Would this be another piece of the complex puzzle or the final piece that would either bring closure or unravel it all further? Sarah felt the tremor of anticipation deep within her. What new revelations awaited them? The door trembled as the knock echoed a third time. Urgency cut through the air. A collective breath was held in the room, as if the very walls were waiting with bated breath. Carol stood frozen near the door, uncertain if she should answer immediately or let the moment linger a bit longer, stretching out the tension. Should I get that?" she finally asked, hesitating as she cast a glance back at the room. "Yes," Nia blurted, a nervous laugh breaking her usual composure. Mike looked around, his eyebrows knitting together in concern. "What if it's someone unexpected?" "Well, it seems we've already had a night full of surprises," Julia said, a hint of mischief playing at the corners of her mouth. "Might as well keep it going." With a deep breath, Carol opened the door again, this time as if she were unveiling the next act of a play. The cool air rushed in, swirling around them. Standing there was a man tall, with salt and pepper hair and an expression that mirrored both concern and familiarity. "Keith?" Sarah gasped, recognition flooding her senses. The room shifted again, and it was like a scene from a movie where everything slowed down. Keith stepped inside, shaking off the chill from outside. He had been a part of their lives many years ago, a thread woven into the fabric of family gatherings that had frayed over time. "Sarah, it's been too long," he murmured, his voice tinged with a deep emotion. What are you doing here?" Sarah stammered, her heart racing. "I got the invitation," he said, glancing around the room at the familiar faces. I didn't want to miss a chance to reconnect. What invitation? The question escaped her lips before she could hold it back. Oh, just a casual family reunion, he replied, a smile trying to break through the seriousness of their moment. It seems everyone's branching out. I figured I'd find some family I haven't seen in ages. Keith caught Mike's eye, and in that instant, it was as if a spark leapt between them. A quick understanding passed in silence. But you weren't invited, Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with confusion. How did you even find out? Let's just say word travels fast, especially in this family, Keith replied, his tone lightening. As laughter bubbled up once more, filling the room with warmth, attention began to lift. Yet Sarah felt an unsettling knot forming in her chest. Each new face added another layer to the already tangled web of relationships she had only begun to comprehend. Keith turned to Julia and Mike, introducing himself, pulling them into conversation. The atmosphere brightened. Laughter rose like a welcome balm as everyone began to relax. But Sarah's heart felt heavy. Each connection being forged reminded her that she was standing on shifting sand, with too many elements spiraling just under the surface. Sarah. Julia's voice broke through her thoughts. What do you think? Does this feel like old times? Old times, Sarah repeated softly, but the weight of that nostalgia felt like a burden now more than a comfort. Just as she thought she could step into this family history, she sensed the waves crashing all around her. The door creaked again, and the knock came harder this time, impatient. The crowd glanced at each other, an unspoken agreement forming in their eyes as they hesitated to approach. Who is it this time? Nia whispered, her nervousness contagious. Would the next arrival bring clarity, or would it only deepen the confusion? Sarah's heart raced at the thought, a mixture of dread and hope swirling within her. What if the next knock revealed something she wasn't ready to face? The knock echoed once more, sharp and demanding. Carol held her breath, her fingers brushing over the door frame. Everyone in the room stilled, the warmth of laughter fading into an uneasy quiet. They sensed it, another arrival, another ripple in their already tense night. Do you think it's more family? Julia whispered, trying to pierce the silence with a hint of excitement. Or an old friend, Mike suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. The thought of someone else showing up sent a shiver through Sarah's spine. With a swift movement, Carol braced herself and opened the door again. The sight before her made her heart lurch. Standing there was a woman mid-30s, with wild curls spilling over her shoulders and a confident smile illuminating her face. Surprise! She beamed, her energy undeniable. Liz? Sarah shouted, her hand flying to her mouth as memories rushed back. She hadn't seen Liz in years. They had been inseparable once, best friends through thick and thin, until life had taken them in different directions. What are you doing here? I got a last-minute invitation from your mom, Liz replied, stepping inside, her eyes dancing around the room. And I didn't want to miss this wild reunion. Everybody's getting invited tonight. Nia chuckled, though a hint of trepidation lingered in her voice. The laughter resumed, but it felt different now, charged. Sarah's heart was racing, caught between joy and something deeper, an undercurrent of anxiety. Liz was back, but she represented a tapestry of shared secrets and missed opportunities. A reminder of everything that had been left unsaid. Wow, it feels like a high school reunion all over again, Liz laughed, looking around at their circle. Her eyes sparkled with a sense of nostalgia as she took in the familiar faces, her laughter wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Yet just as Sarah began to relax, the door creaked open again, and an unexpected figure appeared behind Liz, a tall, heavy-set man who seemed to share the same spark in his eyes. He had scruffy hair and a boyish grin, and Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Hey everyone! Sorry I'm late, he exclaimed, bursting into the living room. Had some car trouble but I made it. It took a moment before recognition set in, and Sarah's breath caught. Tom? She breathed, her mind racing. Guess I'm the last one to arrive, he smirked. But man, did I miss all the fun? The atmosphere shifted in an instant, becoming electric with uncertainty. Liz turned to Tom, her eyes narrowing. You're here too? This will be fun. Sarah felt the weight of memories push against her chest. Old arguments, shared moments, and unhealed wounds rushed back to the surface. She had thought she was prepared for this reunion, ready to embrace the past, but it felt like the walls were caving in. "Tom, what is going on?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with frustration and confusion. "Honestly, I didn't know about this reunion either until today. I was just in town and thought I'd stop by," he replied smoothly, but there was something in his tone that suggested he had come with intentions that might not align with the cheerful reunion everyone else envisioned. As the chatter continued, a knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. She felt like she was trapped in a whirlwind, each new arrival adding another layer of complexity she hadn't anticipated. The night had begun as a chance to bond, to sift through their collective past, but now it threatened to unravel in ways she hadn't foreseen. And just when she thought it couldn't get any more chaotic, the door swung open once more. "Hey everybody! I hope I'm not too late." Sarah braced herself, her heart pounding, wondering who or what this next arrival would bring into their already tumultuous mix. Would this stranger bring peace or push them further into disarray? The door creaked ominously once more, and the laughter in the room faded into an expectant silence. Sarah's heart raced. Who could it possibly be? And what fresh challenges would it bring to their fragile reunion? A short, sprightly figure stepped inside, face shining with unbridled enthusiasm. "Did I hear their essay party?" a woman exclaimed, her voice a mixture of laughter and surprise. "Ella?" Sarah gasped. The realization hit her with a wave of familiarity. This was the woman who had once been a close friend, one who shared secrets and dreams. Time apart had changed so much, but here she was, brightening the room with her presence. "Sure is." Ella beamed, soaking in the overlapping congregations of familiar faces and new ones. "I had to join in. When Aunt Carol told me about the family reunion, I just had to see for myself. So much family under one roof." An electric thrill rippled through the air, and everyone buzzed with delight at Ella's unexpected entrance. "Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier." Liz laughed, her tone lightening the tension that thickened with every intimate face revealing layers of yesterday's struggles. Sarah swallowed hard. With each arrival, the weight of each unvoiced truth, lingering tensions, the old bonds and frayed edges threatened to weigh her down. The past had a way of creeping into the present when unacknowledged. Taking a step closer to Ella, Sarah felt the wind shifting. Without realizing it, she had been yearning for this moment. "I missed you. I missed all of this," she said, her heart buoyed by the familiarity of old friendships rekindled. Ella's eyes sparkled. "We have so much to catch up on. But first we focus on celebrating, right?" "Right," Sarah breathed, though tangled thoughts still hovered in her mind. As chatter filled the room, no one wanted to miss the chance to embrace the moment. Children dashed around, weaving through the legs of adults who were busy reuniting. The laughter echoed, harmonizing with hope mingling with uncertainty. In that moment, Sarah realized something profound. Her heart ached for connection. Then she caught Dave across the room. His gaze lingered on her, searching. The warmth of their early troubles turned heavy when first memories shared began unraveling old patterns. But they had the power to rewrite their story tonight. "Tree of life, right?" Maria's voice broke through Sarah's thoughts gently. "Let us throw caution to the wind." There it was again, the quilt, the symbol of the love they had all shared. Its vibrant patterns whispered to Sarah that they didn't have to be defined by the past. Bitterness didn't serve them in this reunion, but resilience and connection could. "Everyone," Sarah called out, surprising herself with the assertion in her voice. "I'm so grateful you all came tonight. Truly, this gathering holds so much potential for healing. If we let it." She felt her voice steady as the room fell silent in response. "We can't keep dancing around our issues, pretending they don't matter," she continued, the weight of their histories surfacing. "Let us share our stories, our laughter, and perhaps even our truths." A ripple of agreement flowed through the room. Eyebrows raised with curiosity. "I've held on to questions I wanted to ask," Lydia said, stepping forward, lifting the gravity that filled the air. "Maybe now is a good time to address some of these unresolved tensions." The old family dynamics were flimsy, clinging to unfinished business. "Let us hear each other out, right?" Nia added, her voice steady but encouraging. "Family is messy, but that makes it all the more beautiful." "Exactly," Dave agreed, excitement threading through his nervous energy. This night should be about building something new. As soft affirmations rolled through the guests, a spark ignited, a collective resilience filling the space. This was their moment, a chance to navigate the complexities of family and a shimmering future together. Sarah felt lighter. The room filled with laughter, but it wasn't a facade. It was real. The memories, laughter, and hidden truths danced around them like sparks in the night, each person illuminating the way for others to follow. The strength and unity inspired a community ready to face the trials together, breaking down barriers they once thought insurmountable. Together they embraced the shared history, but choosing to walk forward toward healing. How about a toast? Sarah called, her heart already soaring. To family and the love that binds us. Cheers! Echoed through the room, glasses clinking with a resonance that spoke of new beginnings, a defining moment marked by their courage to confront the past and the promise of a brighter future. Change had begun, and with smiles lighting up their faces, they felt hope all around. If you enjoyed this transformation, you need to subscribe now to never miss out on our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this channel. Comment below with how you felt about the ending. It truly matters. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what makes this community grow.